Hello and welcome to the predictions video for the Baku Grand Prix. Now, because the video revealing the results to the Monaco predictions wasn't made last week, I'm going to include that at the start of this video, so if you want to just skip ahead directly to the predictions for this weekend's Baku Grand Prix, then by all means do that. But remember, this is the series in which you guys, the audience, can get involved by following that link in the top line of the description. But before we get into that, let us go on over the results for the Monaco Grand Prix. A huge congratulations goes to Evan Darcy and to Ket for scoring the most points for this weekend, 44 having taken one of their boosts. We have every single person in the top 20 actually using one of their boosts, which is absolutely insane. We have really close battles between Dreamcatcher and then Cosmos as well. We actually have to get to Aru in position 21 to be the first person not to use one of their boosts, having scored 18. And if we just take a look at the most accurate qualifying set of predictions, this actually goes to Cosmos 2022, getting a full house, every single person in the correct place for qualifying. And then Evan Darcy was super close, having every single driver correct in the top 5, but having Leclerc and Perez in the wrong positions. But it was Danielle B who actually combined these two sets of predictions to come away with the most accurate weekend set of predictions. So a big congratulations goes to Cosmos 2022, Evan Darcy, and especially Danielle B. We then have a range of correct bold statements, and interestingly, none of them were actually low risk statements. Everything was medium or even high risk. So a big congratulations to anybody who got a correct bold statement. And if we just total up for the season scores so far, we have Evan Darcy stretching his lead at the top with 185 points, but they only have one boost left, with Joshua ZA on 159, but with 3 of their 5 boosts left. And interestingly, we've got Danielle B inside the top 5, just 1 point ahead of Samveg, but she has 4 of their boosts left, so a very good position for Danielle B to be in. But interestingly, if we take a look at Cosmos 2022 on 127 points in P9, they have ran out of their boosts. They have no more chances to boost for this year. And we actually have to go all the way down to the positions 31 and 40 table to Dan Beaver to get to the first person who hasn't used any of their boosts. They still have 5 out of 5 and have scored 82 for the races that they have entered. Now, there is also that average points column, which averages out the points for the entries that you have made, and if we take a look at the positions 51 to 60 table, we can see that it's actually VVZ who has scored the highest average points for the rounds that they have entered, one entry having scored 34 points. There is then, of course, a second set of tables for all of the entrants down to the positions 81 to 90 table, so a huge congratulations goes to everybody who has entered into this season so far. And so with the Monaco results all done and dusted, let us now jump on into my Baku Grand Prix predictions and exactly how this series works. So without further ado, let us get started. If you follow that link in the top line of the description, you'll be asked a set of questions. The top 5 for qualifying is question number 1, then your top 5 for the race, the driver of the day, and then one bold encompassing statement. Now, if you would like a list of every single one of the rules regarding this series, there is a rules sheet which is down in the description below, but the main ones are you're only allowed to make one submission now to this link. And then the submissions close for predicting before the start of the qualifying session on Saturday. So if you want to make your prediction now, like myself, well before any of the practice sessions start, by all means do so. But if you want to wait until the end of practice 3, just before the qualifying starts, then by all means do so. Now, there is of course a small little point scoring system that goes along with this. You'll receive 2 points for a driver in the correct position inside your top 5 for qualifying, and then just the 1 point if they are inside the top 5 but not in the correct position. Very similar points is then scored for the race, however you receive 3 points for a correct driver in the correct position. Driver of the day receives 2 bonus points, and then for the bold statement there are 3 levels of risk. Self-declared low-risk statements will receive 2 bonus points, medium-risk statements 5, and then high-risk statements will be rewarded 10 points. Now, each of the risk levels are mediated by myself, and I just sort of get a consensus of what everybody has predicted to generalize each of them. So if you do end up predicting the same as somebody else, but they're on 2 levels of risk, I'll just average it out and make a new level for you. Equally, if you were to predict something as high risk and say it would be Latifi finishes last or is the first to crash, I will then end up bumping that down to low risk. And then finally, for this year in 2022, there is the option to boost your score. You get 5 of these chances to do this year, and this will end up doubling your overall tally at the end of the weekend. And so with all of that jargon out of the way, make sure to follow that link in the top line of the description to get involved in the Audience Prediction Championship. But without further ado, let us go on over my entries into this weekend's Grand Prix. So without further ado, let us jump on into my top 5 for qualifying, and for pole position, I've gone for Sergio Perez, and joining him on the front row, Charles Leclerc. Now, I personally feel that Sergio Perez over the last 2 races has genuinely been one of the best drivers on the grid so far, with his dominant win in Monaco secured and then his almost victory in Spain as well. He's definitely a driver on the up. And going to this circuit in Baku, which he has won at before, and then has also stood on the podium numerous times, I feel like he can do that. And then going for Charles Leclerc in P2, I just feel like that's a fairly confident bet. And then for P3, I've gone for Max Verstappen. P4, I've gone for Valtteri Bottas, hoping that that Ferrari power unit is going to push him over the line to P4. And then for P5, I've gone for George Russell. So I would say P1, 2 and 3 is a fairly orthodox and safe set of predictions, but P4 and 5 is a little bit out there. And so from qualifying, we'll take a look at my race top 5, and for the Grand Prix victory, I've gone for Sergio Perez, for very similar reasons that I said in the qualifying segment. And coming home in P2, I've gone for Charles Leclerc as well, not much positional switches in the top 2. Completing the podium, I've gone for Valtteri Bottas. Now that is a mega prediction there from myself. P4, Carlos Sainz coming from nowhere in qualifying, and then P5, Lewis Hamilton. Where then driver of the day is actually Valtteri Bottas, coming home on the podium for Alfa Romeo. Now this actually leads me quite nicely into my bold statement, which is a very high risk statement that Verstappen will DNF and Sergio Perez will win. So this isn't just an or statement, which I feel like would have been a medium risk statement. This is actually both events coming true. Verstappen will DNF and then also Perez will win. Both of those have to happen for my statement to become true. Now, if you've been a long-standing member of this channel, you will remember exactly a year ago when it came up to the Audience Prediction Championship of Baku 2021, when I said that Verstappen would DNF. And that actually ended up coming true. So here we go again, Verstappen DNF. We'll see if that comes true. And for this round, I haven't opted to use one of my boosts, but I have 3 of them remaining for the rest of the races. And there we go, there are my predictions for this weekend's Baku Grand Prix. If you guys want to get involved in this series, make sure to follow that link in the top line of the description. Submissions close before the start of qualifying. Now, a big huge thank you has to go to both Sue Dawson and Elliot Crosson for their continued support towards my channel over on Patreon. If you feel like my channel is worthy of your financial support, then there are a range of options which are all listed in the description down below. Any form of financial support from you guys is greatly appreciated, and you will receive a shout out at the end of the video. So a huge thank you once again goes to Sue Dawson and Elliot Crosson for their continued support on Patreon. But there we go guys, that is the end of this weekend's predictions video. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.